Dallas, and welcome to Shootin' the Breeze on Talk Radio 1190 AM. There's good energy all around us. It's renewable, it's affordable, and it comes from a planet willing to share. Welcome to Shootin' the Breeze. I'm your host, Christy Camuzzi. Join me along with our special guests each week as we pull energy out of thin air to discuss what it means to be part of the regeneration generation, bringing power to the people. On today's show, we've got a really exciting panel up here. We're coming to you live today on this breezy October afternoon at the largest Veggie Fest in Texas, the 7th annual Texas Veggie Fair, right here in Revachon Park. A big green thank you to our friend and host of one of the best green fests in the state, Jamie Scott, founder of Texas Veggie Fair. Thanks for putting this together, Jamie. I know you're roaming around here someplace. The Shootin' the Breeze team is thrilled to be here on this gorgeous day and not inside the studio where we normally are on a Saturday. We have a great lineup today full of uber awesome super green guests. Right now, we've got our vegan fashion panel. So let's kick off this show. As always, I've got our resident expert on green energy, John Spicer, president of Breeze Energy, 100% pure, green, and always renewable Texas wind energy. Breeze is a blue ribbon sponsor of Texas Veggie Fair again this year, and I know this is one of the favorite green festivals for the great green folks over at Breeze. Isn't that right, John?
Yeah, we love coming here.
On stage with us also is one of our favorite green gurus, Bernice Butler, editor and publisher of Natural Awakening's Dallas Metroplex edition and the one magazine I read cover to cover. As a matter of fact, their Natural Awakening magazine's right in front of the stage, so pick one up as you mill about this fantastic foodie event today. So let's get to the fashion girls. First we have Nikki Koenig. There we go. Founder and president of Cykochik, an internationally acclaimed and compassionate all-vegan brand recognized for their incredibly creative, cruelty-free, eco-friendly, custom-made vegan handbags. As a matter of fact, in 2013, PETA, which I'm sure folks out here don't need me to tell you what PETA stands for, but just in case, People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, awarded Cykochik the Compassionate Business Award. Nikki graduated from one of my alma maters, SMU's Meadow School of the Arts in Dallas, Texas, focusing on creating creative projects from recycled materials. Nikki's a lifelong animal lover and activist who believes in compassion for all living beings and practices a vegan lifestyle. Before we chat with her, I'm going to introduce everybody up here on the stage, and then we're going to dig in with each one of you. Sitting to the left of Nikki is Kat Mendenhall, a native Texan and vegan activist who's on a mission to mend the world through whole plant-based nutrition and her own unique brand of vegan products, designing the first handcrafted vegan cowboy boots, and let me tell you, they are pretty cool. In addition to her line of fashion products, Kat is also a culinary nutritionist, an instructor, a consultant, and a vegan lifestyle coach and educator. Kat doesn't have a lot of free time. And then finally, we've got Molly Tutt. She's rounding out our panel. She's a local vegan fashion stylist and blogger. She collaborates with numerous brands who share her aesthetic and ethical vision. According to Molly's blog, the hardest part about her decision to go vegan was the issue of fashion choices. She was and still is heavily into high-end designer aesthetic and quality, so now she helps others find beautiful, unique pieces that are animal-friendly. So folks, before we dive in, I just want to remind our listeners that the choices we make, from what we wear, to what we eat, to what energy we choose to power our homes, they're all interconnected. Everything we do every day affects our planet and the creatures who live and hopefully thrive on this planet of ours. And you know, the super cool thing about Texas Veggie Fair is they've got an amazing group of experts in each and every one of these booths on sustainable living, from fashion to food and everything in between. So I encourage folks who are listening to our show today, head on out here. This is open until 6 p.m. It's in Revachon Park, Dallas, Texas. And for all of y'all out there in the crowd, we're going to be up here on stage talking to all these amazing experts in their field. And today it happens to be vegan products or vegan food, vegetarian food, and then visit every one of these booths, support these people and what they're doing. So as always on our show at Shootin' the Breeze, we're here to help. We're here to help empower the people, to bring great green solutions to everyday life, because we want to help you to make the healthy, sustainable choices. So fashion has the same environmental and ethical impacts as food and energy choices. So let's dig into that with Kat, if you want to get started. How did you get into your business? What was your inspiration?
So for me, I grew up around farming and cattle ranching. In fact, my dad is still a cattle rancher. And so I've always had a huge affection for leather cowboy boots. And 7 years ago when I went vegan for basically health and diet. And I still wore my leather cowboy boots, but after a few years, learning more about the leather industry itself and how animals are not a byproduct of the industry, they're actually a co-product. They're raised specifically for their skins. Also learning about the environmental hazards of leather production and the toxic chemicals that are involved in tanning. I made a decision at that point to ditch the leather, but I wasn't sure what I was going to do about my boots. So that led to me creating the first handcrafted, customized vegan cowboy boots that are made right here in Texas.
And I have to say, I've been to Kat's website. I'm a boot aficionado myself, and if you want to kick your heels up, they are pretty darn cool. Incredibly stylish, from little booties to full boots and everything in between. Nikki, tell us how you got your start. What was your inspiration? I love visiting your site, by the way, so tell us about what got you started and then describe your line.
Well, I started Cykochik 13 years ago when I was a student at SMU, as you had mentioned. So I've been in the fashion industry for 13 years, and I've seen, the good, the bad, and the very ugly side of fashion. It's not all fabulous, So I started the vegan handbag because I personally did not want to support animal cruelty in fashion. And I think that we can all be fabulous without harming people, planet, and animals in the process. And we're all a part of the fashion industry because we all wear clothes, and it's a $1.5 trillion global industry, so it has tremendous impact. So it's really important that we are aware of the effects of our fashion choices on the welfare of animals, the planet, and also on people. And it was such an honor to receive the PETA Compassionate Business Award because that really showed that we were doing something right and being recognized for it by PETA. It's just
And sitting next to her is Molly Tutt. Molly, tell us a little bit. I loved reading about you, that when you decided to go vegan, all of us when we make lifestyle changes and you're trying to be true to whatever that change is, and then you come up against a hurdle and go, how am I going to handle this? So tell us a little bit about you and your background and what your struggle was when you decided to go vegan.
When I went vegan, I realized that my separation, or the way that I dissociated myself with the treatment of animals, was via fashion. I had never been very interested in eating meat or anything like that, but I had all of these suede, leather, fur items in my closet. And when I realized that leather was not a meat byproduct, it was a thriving industry in and of itself, that's when I realized I needed to make a change. But I was so heavily involved in the fashion industry, being a stylist, I didn't know what I was going to do in order to make my lifestyle line up with my beliefs. So I basically made it my mission to find beautiful, ethically made pieces with a high designer aesthetic, whether it be an artisan shoe company, something like what Kat does, vegan leather, custom-made shoes, to things that are incidentally vegan, just vegan leather items and Neiman's or the boutique down the street. Just bringing attention to that and bringing it to the mainstream. I started offering my styling clients a discount if they would let me provide them with vegan alternatives as opposed to a leather jacket, bring them a vegan leather jacket, they would get a 25% discount on my services. So.
What a great idea. That's fantastic. I mean, that's really living it and believing in it and spreading the word.
It's walking the walk as well as talking the talk. And I have just a burning question for
Kat, Nikki, Molly.
Nikki, but let me ask. But let me ask this
We should have had name tags. I'm sorry.
But I have them now. But let me ask this of Kat, and really to commend you, because what you described when you were describing your journey is the Natural Awakenings Dallas tagline, and that is that green living is healthy and healthy living is green. We have seen that people get to this point by one of two directions. It's either health, they start with health, or they start with the environment, but inevitably they meet at the point that you are, so certainly to commend you. The other burning question, really it may be for everyone, and that is, if they're not made of leather, what are they made of?
Thank you for asking. So traditionally we had sustainable alternatives to leather that were PVC based, and they were not really any better for the environment. They were considered throwaway cheap products and materials. That has completely changed in the last 3 to 5 years. We have companies now that are producing high quality, I call it vegan leather, because people resonate with leather. So I tag on the vegan because that's what it is, but it's made from a polyurethane. So there's no off-gassing in the production, there's no PVC. The material itself is breathable, durable, pliable, water resistant, just like animal leather. And I can tell you, I'm working with traditional leather makers, and they've been making animal leather products for 25, 30 years, and they are blown away when I bring the material to them and show them and they start working with it. They're always very skeptical. So these boots will hold up just like a pair of animal leather boots would. The care of them is completely the same. The process that we go through in making our boots is the exact process that a pair of animal leather boots would be made. So this material is not only great for the animals, but for the environment itself. The company that I purchased from is a green company, and they've won all these awards for their own production.
And I think that's important because a lot of times people don't understand. I mean, they get the animal cruelty part, but if each of you can talk about the environmental aspect, because I think people go, well, why isn't that good for the environment? Well, you started to talk about the off gases. You know, it's not just a plastic product that, you know, is going to send horrible toxic fumes up into our atmosphere. Can you talk a little bit about what we mean when we say it's also planet friendly when you choose vegan products?
Right, so and with my boots, I know that my material, first of all, is produced in a green facility. So they're making every effort they can to keep their own production environmentally friendly. The reason that these materials are so important and why they need to replace animal leather is also the way that they're produced, is that when we choose animal leather, the animals are on factory farms. The water and the tree lose in those factory farms is definitely contributing to some environmental issues. Not the off-gassing, but the off-run from those animals on the factory farm is going into our soil, into our water supply, which is also, you know, not good for us in the long run. Thirdly, the tanning of the animal leather, there's over 250 chemicals that are involved in the tanning process so that the leather does not decay off your feet when you wear your shoes. To me, that just is pretty gross in itself. But those chemicals not only are exposed to the environment, but it's detrimental to people's health that are working in these factories and that are exposed to these chemicals. And I hate to think that if you can put a patch on your arm that can keep you from smoking, who's to say that these chemicals that are involved in the production of animal leather are not absorbed into our own bloodstream? So, you know, to me it's full circle. Like you said, everything's connected, and that's why we need to start looking and choosing for more man-made sustainable materials.
Thank you. Nikki, my burning question for you, my first burning question for you is, how did you come up with the name Cykochik? And I know you get asked that often.
Yes, absolutely. In 13 years, that's usually the first question is, why is it called Cykochik? Well, it's spelled Cykochik. So it's not PSY, psycho. Maybe a little bit, but not quickly. And we're not making light of any, mental health issues. CY, it stands for cycle. Like we were talking about everything's in a cycle, like cycle in a circle. That's why our logo is a circle, because I believe everything in life has a cycle. And I started by using recycled materials. So being very eco-friendly when I started, and CY also stood for like cyber, because it's an online business, and Cykochik has always been online business. So everything just sort of ties in together.
That is super cool.
That is really cool.
It's way better than your nickname from high school.
Well, actually, Cykochik was my AOL screen name too. So this is when I was in college, right?
But my other question also is, are there any local or national retail stores that carry your products?
As I mentioned, Cykochik is only online, so we sell completely online on our own website, custom-handbags.com, because they're all custom made. So they're one of a kind. We make them all here in our studio in Dallas, but we do have a few bags available in art galleries, because I collaborate with artists from all over the world. So they're available at the Pro Museum of Art museum store. We've done a special collection for them, and they're at the Midtown Art Gallery as well.
Can folks do you have a booth out here today if people want to purchase? Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're right behind here. If you look, it's the red tent, just like straight right there. Come on by, you can see our whole collection, and you can also feel our eco-friendly and vegan leather. So we use a polyurethane that's similar to cat. It's PVC free, but we also use recycled plastic material made from recycled water bottles. It's called our eco canvas. So yeah, for water bottles, and we print designs on them. And also we have the new leather, it's called pineapple leather. You might have heard of it, Piñatex. It's all the rage. It's made from pineapple leaf fiber from the Philippines. So it's completely recyclable, completely eco-friendly, and we are so excited to be working with new fabrics, materials.
Yeah. And why handbags? I happen to be a huge lover of handbags. Handbags and shoes, I just never ever.
You can never have too many handbags.
Have too many. So, what was your inspiration as it started as far back at SMU about handbags? Because is that the majority of your focus?
We've started branching into apparel, like t-shirt as well. But I started out with handbags because it actually started out with an art project. I had made a 3D painting out of this piece of material, and it was a cut-up of my face. It was kind of strange. But after the class project, I decided to transform that piece of material using recycled material. I made that into a tote bag and started carrying my books around campus with it, and started getting a lot of attention, and then people started ordering their own custom portrait totes on it, and that's what really launched Cykochik and handbags, because I didn't intend to start a handbag company. I went to school for art and advertising, not fashion, not business, but here I am running a 13-year-old fashion company.
I think that's what's outstanding about your products. When I first saw it, I didn't quite really believe that they were vegan. They were so attractive. But we're going to make sure that both Cykochik and your boots are in our upcoming sustainable gifting guide that we do in Natural Awakenings every December.
Well, and I think what you just said is really interesting, Bernice, that you said you didn't quite believe they were vegan because they were so attractive. And on our show, we're always trying to dispel myths. We've had Bernice on when we talk with food folks, and we're going to have food folks on the panel throughout the rest of the day. That misperception that organic is more expensive, or not as good, vegan food isn't as good as normal food, or that vegan product items aren't as good as normal products. So this is a perfect tee-up for you, Molly, being a stylist. How do you deal with clients when you're introducing a cool vegan product and they're like, I don't know, it's not real, or...
I typically don't deal with that very much because I don't bring something to somebody unless it's something that I myself would wear, and I don't wear things that look like plastic or leather, etc. So yeah, I mean, but if somebody does say something to me like, I don't think that things can, really feel like leather or look like leather unless they are leather, then I'll show them an example. I mean, I have things. My fiance is in the audience, and his briefcase is made of vegan leather. It looks like old, worn, broken in, soft, buttery leather, and that's what we're dealing with in 2016.
That's a good point, and I'll toss this back to you, Nikki. Where we've come a long way, have we not? That the original vegan products. I've lived in New York City for a long, long time, and back when vegan products started coming on the scene, we all ran out and bought these cool boots and crack and peel because it was plastic, it was leather. Yeah. And so then it started having this bad connotation. So kind of take our audience, where are we now as designers, you and Kat, as designers of products that are 100% vegan? Talk to us about that.
Well, I have to say technology has really pushed fashion forward. The pineapple leather that I had mentioned, using that as sort of a leather alternative, and PVC-free vegan leather, polyurethane. So it's not like the old days of the plasticky looking material.
Cracked, yucky, peeling.
And when people feel our materials, they're like, wow, this is incredible, and it's more durable, and more durable than all the animal products. So technology has really made incredible strides in fashion.
What about breathability? Because I remember back in the day, a lot of that pleather stuff was really uncomfortable because there was no breathability to it. It didn't move that much. It wasn't as malleable, and it did not breathe. I mean, you have a big old rash or a chafing spot on your foot if you wore something vegan back then.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally understand what you're talking about, because I bought all those bags that are just, I just had to toss them, which is horrible. But yeah, technology's made it possible, and also using recycled materials so that it can breathe, and putting a backing to it so that it is comfortable to wear. And I'm sure Kat can speak to this because, you're wearing it on your feet.
Yeah, so I agree with Nikki. The technology has really made the advancement in the last few years in the materials. The vegan leather is breathable. It's water resistant, it's pliable, durable, just like animal leather would be. People that buy my boots, I had a man call me this week, and I almost wanted to break down and cry because he said, I got my boots in the mail, and I want to tell you, I expected to have to wear them a few times to break them in. And I didn't have to. They're comfortable from day one. We have a lady that works here with Spiral Donner, Sarah, and she's, we know Sarah, right? Spiral Donner.
She's a true vegan.
Yeah, so she does line dancing. She I'm not sure if it's competitive, so sorry, Sarah, if I'm speaking out of turn, but I know that she does a lot of line dancing and so forth in her free time. And so she got a pair of the boots, and she was like, I was so surprised. The first day I wore them, they were so comfortable dancing. So yes, technology has helped improve the quality of materials, the look, the feel, but also, can I bring up that top high-end fashion designers, and Molly knows this too, are really helping to change the perception. We have Stella McCartney, who's adding, or who is vegan, and who's adding things to her high-end fashion line that are all vegan products. We have other top designers who are now adding vegan lines to their own lines. And so the mindset from the fashion world and from consumers who like high-end products is evolving and changing thanks to not only pioneers like us who work more locally and online, but even across the board with other high-end fashion designers who are changing that perception.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to talk to Molly a little bit about that because you're more in the overall industry. And as Kat just mentioned, the high-end fashion designers are now beginning to bring it in. What other types of places are you finding that are beginning to introduce the vegan product?
And John being a renewable expert is, man, the planet needs us to make this popular. We have just come out of the absolute warmest year on record, hands down. We are in trouble. I mean, we don't try to be all doom and gloom on Shootin' the Breeze, but it's a fact. And climate change is really critical. And I think it goes back to oftentimes when I'm talking to folks that aren't already vegan or don't really understand the lifestyle, and they understand, oh, okay, well, I understand it's not made from an animal, but they don't get the planet connection. And John, if you could help us understand, because you've educated me so much about, what's a fossil fuel and some of these manufacturing things that happen when you're producing stuff that's PVC or stuff that is not good for the environment. What's happening to our air, to what we're breathing?
Well, I think there's, the obvious things, conventional power plant that burns the fuel versus wind or solar power that doesn't have any emissions. Kind of have, from the small things I know about materials there, and there's also water consumption issues with producing electricity from conventional sources versus solar or windmills where you don't use any water at all. My understanding is there are certain fabrics that take a huge amount of processing, or the farming of the crop that makes that fabric has a large impact from water use or other types of environmental impacts. So I could see there's a lot of parallels. I don't really have any background in the fabric side of things. Maybe one of y'all could help out with that.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, John, something that we'll probably be really surprised to know is that cotton is the most water-intensive crop, and it also utilizes a lot of pesticides. So it uses 25% of the world pesticide, or the world market for pesticides, and that is a lot. And cotton is one of the #1 materials. Like, we all grew up with cotton. So that's why at Cykochik we're starting to phase out cotton, even organic cotton. Like, this shirt is actually made from organic bamboo, which is so much more eco-friendly, sustainable, breathable, super soft. So it's an alternative, but it's not a less than. I think it's superior. It's not like we're settling for something less. With technology and all sorts of advancements, not only is it vegan, not only is it eco-friendly, it's better.
Right. I was at South by Southwest Eco last week, and I saw this amazing presentation by this biophilic doctor or something like that. And she was talking about they're actually beginning to create, you talked of technology, create a lot of these materials in laboratories. So it looks like the sky's the limit. But speaking of John, you notice he's been very quiet on the fashion end here. And
Should have brought my wife. She can help out a lot there.
But John, you just caused me to think. 54% of Natural Awakenings Dallas's online readers are male. They really are. I asked a friend about that. She says, well, they care very much about the environment and healthy living too. They just don't want us to know it. But that leads to my question, though, in terms of you three ladies in the fashion industry. What is the reception by men of your products?
So this is Kat, and yeah, I believe that actually I've been surprised, let me say first, that my boots, for the highest percentage of my boot sales have gone to men. And they've also provided me the most feedback. And that has been, like I said, a very big surprise to me, something that I didn't expect in the market with my boots and belts and some of the other products that I'm doing. But I appreciate that. And I'm glad that men are concerned, that they're aware, they're knowledgeable of what's going on. And we appreciate this, that they want to look good, right? And they care.
What you just mentioned about the bamboo versus cotton, what other sort of surprising substitutions are available? Or maybe surprising is not the word, but I'm looking at your shirt and it looks exactly like it would be a cotton t-shirt. So,
well, surprising. Well, going back to technology, there's an amazing technology. It's called lab-grown silk. Because not a lot of people know where silk comes from. Silk comes from the silkworm. So they produce the cocoon that's made out of silk, and usually the worms are steamed or boiled alive while they're inside their cocoon, which makes it not vegan because you're exploiting and killing the worms just for their cocoon. So the lab-grown, the spider silk is amazing, and it's supposed to be, a lot stronger than regular silk, and so I'm so excited. I can't wait to get my hands on the lab-grown silk.
I love silk, and I've been reading about this lab-grown silk. I don't know nearly as much of it as you probably do, but they're actually growing, it is silk, it's just in the lab, like incubator-like?
Well, it's the I can't speak of all the scientific terms, but it's like it's the molecules. It's just growing molecules. No animals used in the process at all.
Yeah, that's some of the processes we saw. We didn't see a lot of detail, but they showed a few clips where, they're like in the petri dish, putting together certain components or, like you said, molecules or minerals, and it starts, and then they do that. They're trying to do it on a much larger level.
I think that's so cool.
Yeah, and they're planning on mass producing this, so it's not just a niche market thing. This is going to be, readily available for everyone.
Well, especially in fashion, silk is another wonderful fabric. It's form-fitting, it's breathable. So to have an alternative like the bamboo,
it's much better than polyester.
Yeah, not breathable. And for Texas, not good.
And I think what the coolest thing with all of you ladies is that the products are so cute. Because, we ladies start with cute.
If I could go back, I'm sorry. If I could go back to the men question, every guy that comes into our booth asks me if we have men's wallets, men's bags. Every guy wants, a vegan bag. So that's probably our next question.
There's my 54% readership.
Well, and that's interesting because I was typing in when I got my new iPad, vegan, like a vegan case for it, and I couldn't find one. They're made of the bad stuff.
I think something that I've experienced in regards to the male reception of vegan fashion and its developments, they're really open. I mean, they might not have as much exposure to it on average as a woman, but just from a practicality standpoint, it's typically a little less expensive. No animal had to be harmed in the making of it. If you can make it look and feel like the real thing, guys are typically more than happy to dive in. I was just a camp counselor at this awesome vegan summer camp called Yay Camp, and every year more and more, the future is going to be equally female and males going vegan, vegetarian, caring about the environment. There are tons of super enthusiastic male campers who want to know about all of these things and how they can make a difference. And earlier you said, somebody was saying with how hot the summer has been, like, the environment needs us. The future, these kids, they know so much about what's going on and they want to make a difference. And I really think that, like, in 10 years, most people will be going in this direction for sure, based on the kids that I met this summer.
Yeah, I think that, it's really important that we make sure that we don't leave them with a mess. And we surpassed a climate change situation 2 weeks ago where there is no going back. And I hope maybe ASAP, not 10 years, but people really, really get on the bandwagon. And it doesn't have to be a complete total change, because I think sometimes, at least on our show, we're trying to provide information to make healthy choices. Some people are gonna make that full change, like you did, Molly, when you decided, okay, I'm all in vegan. But I also don't want our audience to be frightened that, okay, well then this show isn't for you. Everything you do, and again, it's why we're so grateful for Breeze Energy and being the sponsor of Shootin' the Breeze on iHeart, is, I made the change. I used to look at my energy bill and go, okay, well, who's the cheapest? And yet I recycle and I say I care about the planet, and I did a lot of I buy organic stuff, and then I realized, wow, this is a big expense. And it's something I use every single day. And I wasn't tuned in. I wasn't ignoring it. I just wasn't tuned in that was affecting the environment and having such an impact. And it was so easy. It's literally like turn off Reliant, turn on Breeze Energy, and I'm paying a lot cheaper because it's Texas wind. And can you talk a little bit about what you all do at Breeze Energy? As I understand, you're the only energy company that supports the state of Texas.
We're exclusively 100% Texas wind. So a lot of companies out there may dabble in wind energy or have a product, but that's all we do. Some of the mainstream, want to be.
I know you don't want to say it. I'll say it. Green Mountain TXU Reliant.
Some of them just buy credits from whatever state they happen to buy credits from, so you're not really working inside of Texas, inside of your own environment either. So you have that issue. So we keep everything in Texas. We're a Texas-owned company. I have a business partner his main business is building the wind farms as well. So the whole company is built around this industry and promoting Texas wind energy.
Yeah, I think, to all of you listeners out there today, start making some change, whether it's food, and we're going to have a great food panel on in a minute, where some of us are vegetarians, some are vegan on the panel, some are meat eaters, and we're going to try vegan food and everyone's going to respond to it. Fashion. You have to put something on your body every single day, just like you have to turn your lights on every single day. You have to eat every day. So little changes that you make are going to make for a better future for all of us and these kids that you had at this camp. Because I know Breeze has been the education sponsor for many years at Earth Day, Texas. Those kids know more than the grown-ups walking around. Like, they're tuned in. They know about recycle, repurpose, reuse. They get that if a piece of trash here or if it's in the parking lot eventually will end up in an ocean if you don't pick it up. I'm thrilled that our education system is making this so important in what they're learning in school. We all need to take a page from that, all of us grown-ups. But I do think it's intriguing, and it's a whole other avenue that maybe people can enter into being better citizens of the planet. Maybe you're not ready to be vegan or vegetarian, but you're into fashion, and just by having a show like this today, there are options. And I'd like to, real quick, before we switch guests, I want to have each one of you tell what your product line is, what you do, and where to go for more information.
Christy, do we have an opportunity? Just one more question.
Sure.
Molly brought up expense, and you stated that you were talking about men's embracing vegan, and you mentioned that in a lot of cases it's less expensive. Can you talk about that and maybe give us some comparisons that you know about? Because that's also the starting point for a lot of people. One of my hot button issues is that from the old days, people tend to think that healthy, organic is more expensive off the bat. and so they therefore don't bother to look or investigate. And that's changed, as far as I can tell, across most industries.
I'm really glad you brought that up because in no way is being animal friendly with your choices a privilege issue anymore. Like what you're saying, people have the understanding that it's more expensive. And it's not always less expensive. I would say oftentimes it is. If you go, like one really easy way I shop for shoes, I go to ASOS.com, if any of you guys have heard of ASOS, and it's very easy these days to shop for non-leather. There's a filter on the side. If you go to shoes, there's a filter on the side of the screen. You just check non-leather and all of the non-leather options appear. And typically they're about a third of the price of the leather shoes. So in that case, it's going to be a much more cost-effective way to shop. If you're going the route that I like to really showcase on my blog, fashionveggie.com,
Wait a second, say that again.
fashionveggie.com. If you go to my blog, I do put incidentally vegan things like what you'll find at asos.com on the blog. I also, I really like to highlight brands like they have that are artisan, custom made, by hand, ethically made. Those can be a little more expensive sometimes.
But they're pieces of art.
Yes, exactly.
Just as if you were to buy a designer
Exactly.
in anything, I think it's fair to say the materials they're using, all things being equal, but it is a designer, specialty, handmade, custom made. I know both Kat and Nikki are artists, and
But I would even say, like with all of the work that, I've blogged about Kat's boots before. Even with all of the work she puts in, and typically that product would be much more expensive, her product is still less expensive than a lot of just leather custom boot makers. So vegan businesses, I think in general, we try and be, cost conscious and things like that. So I think that they do a pretty good job with that. But I also just want to mention really quickly, when I went vegan and decided to only wear things that didn't harm animals, I'm an extremist. My personality is an extremist. I threw out all of my stuff. I sold all of my leather shoes. I gave to friends, and that's not what you have to do. I don't think it's such a daunting change. If I could go back in time, I probably would have worn my shoes out. And then when it was time to buy new shoes, gone the animal-friendly route. So that, another thing you can do, just speaking of cost, is, sell your things like online on eBay or something, and then use that money to buy animal-friendly replacements. So.
Or, and I'm a big proponent of this, Salvation Army is the greatest place to donate to. You can go online. You don't even have to pick up the phone. You can plug in what it is that you're donating, put it on your porch. They come and leave you a tax form.
Yes.
I think for anything when you're cleaning out in your life.
And then there's consignment. There are times in my life I just can't part with my stuff, but it's easier when you get some money for it. So consignment's.
So charity, or use the money for yourself, one way or the other, it's all good. And so, if we can go down with each of you to talk again about what your products are, what you do, and where to go to get more information. Of course, on shootinthebreezeradio.com. Again, that's Shootin, SHOOTIN, thebreezeradio.com. We're going to have bios on each one of our fashion panel guests. We're going to have all the links to their sites. But for people listening right now, let's tell them where to go.
So my name is Molly. I am the author of vegan fashion blog, fashionveggie.com. And you can find me mostly on Instagram as far as social media goes, and it's at fashionveggie. And I want to help you find animal-friendly alternatives.
Hi, so my company is Cykochik Custom Handbags, and our tent is right back there. Please, come over there, say hi, ask me questions. You can touch and feel all of our materials. We make eco-friendly and animal-friendly handbags, but also shirts as well. And we're giving away 2 of these organic bamboo shirts. Woohoo! So if you want to go back there and sign up for the giveaway, be there. And we're also online at custom-handbags.com.
I'm Kat Mendenhall, and you can find my custom designed, handcrafted vegan cowboy boots that are made right here in Texas. I also have belts. We talked about wallets. I will be adding wallets and vegan jewelry even. But you can find me at Kat, it's spelled with a K, K-A-T, katmendenhall.com. Do have social media, and our booth is sort of near the entrance here, but it's to your right, around the corner. And we have boots on display. Everything's offered online, but we'll help you with designing and fitting your own pair.
Well, huge thank you to our panel of fashion experts today. And again, please, if you're here out at Revachon Park with us enjoying this awesome, yet another wonderful Texas Veggie Fair, head on over to their booths, grab some food, grab something to wear that's good for the planet, and also, of course, please stop by the Breeze Energy booth and learn about how you can simply turn on a switch and get the wind delivered directly to your door. That's a super easy way to start being planet friendly. I mean, and it's only 7.1 cents per kilowatt hour, so they're cheaper than everybody else.
Yeah, but would you like a hand food?
So that's it. Thanks again. We're out of time. I'm Chrissy Camuzzi, your host on Shootin' the Breeze, Talk Radio 1190 AM. Join us next week for more sustainable thinking. Until then, stay cool, Texas.